And hello, everyone. What's up? We are live. This is Xbox Ultimate Podcast, episode number 210. Yes, we're in the double digits of the twos now. We've made it there. Hope everyone is having a great December. It is inching closer and closer to Christmas season here. And we're gonna be taking the week off next week for our regular shows. So just kind of getting that out of the way. So y'all so there'll be no FSP, no PM in the PM, or no Xbox Ultimate next week because of the holidays. However, you could still potentially catch like Mavcast or a game stream or something like that if things are free and I have the time to do so. But yeah, thanks everybody for being here on this amazing night. And we're coming off the heels of a lot of crazy feelings in the Xbox community again. That's kind of been par for the course this year. Some rightfully so, some not so much, I think, but it's all interesting conversation. But yeah, this is what I want to kind of focus on tonight is like 2025 or early 2025 as we're kind of putting 2024 to a close and maybe even beyond that because I think it's gonna be a hell of a good 2 years ahead, despite all the doom and gloom that's been going. Man, if you're in the Xbox ecosystem, I think things are bright going forward. But I want to say hello to the two gentlemen joining us for today, the one and only Fuzzy Belvedere. What's up, Fuzz? How's it going?
What's up, everyone? Glad to be here. Man, just closing out the year with some gaming and getting ready for next year. Got to clear that backlog because I don't think we're going to be ready for 2025. I think we're going to get overwhelmed.
It might be that way, bro. I think we're getting some announcements early in 2025 related to the ecosystem stuff, as well as the Dev Direct, which who knows what could happen there. So that's what I want to focus on the show. But yeah, 2025 is going to be pretty overwhelming, just from a gaming perspective. If you take it beyond Xbox as well, like in general, it's just going to be absolutely crazy. But yeah, thanks for being here, Fuzz. And the one and only Pong Soul back here after a great show last night. Pong, it was fun, and
Yeah, it was.
back here tonight for Friday.
It's great to be back on a Friday night. Sorry, I was in the middle of drinking there. Jesus. Yeah, no, great to be back. Great to see Fuzz in here and hear his voice. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the same stuff that we kind of talked about last night too, man. But we've been talking about, like you said, 2025 is right around the corner, man, and it's lining up perfectly. Unless, of course, the Dev Direct comes around and January and they just, close up shop. It's just Satya on the screen and he just announces that Xbox is closed and game libraries are dead and you're going to have to go buy a PlayStation or a PC or a Switch. And that's what they're going to do in January. That's going to be the January Direct surprise.
Oh.
It's just going to be Satya finally admitting that Xbox is dead since they've died 4,000 times this year already. So, no, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, I am excited too for 2025. Again, we are just so inundated with gaming right now and games in general. And we were just talking about it in the background. We talked about it last night. Xbox alone next year, if the rumors are true,
Yeah,
RPGs, if you're an RPG lover, you're in heaven. If you're in the Xbox ecosystem, you potentially are going to get 4 big RPGs next year in day one in Game Pass. Like that's unheard of.
yeah, and
like,
that's just from if you actually get to the third party. If you just
Yes.
go to day and date in Game Pass, there's even
Right.
more.
There is
Because-
absolutely going to be more. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was it's been crazy to think about how 2025 is going to start, right?
Yes.
And we capped off 2024 really good with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And we just had the Game Awards. We found out there's another 2025 game coming in Outer Worlds 2.
Yep.
So for me, those are positives, obviously. Some see the Outer Worlds announcement as a negative because it's also going to PlayStation. I could give a shit
True
less
way.
as long as I get to play the game and where I want to play it. So
Fuck your feelings.
But yeah, going into next year, I mean, there's been a lot of speculation on some things. There's been some comments made from some in the Xbox community as far as things that they've seen and heard about possibilities. There's been lots of stuff, media and articles where they've actually had interviews with Xbox execs and announcements as far as things to look forward to. Some of them come from Xbox directly, as when they announced the games going to the Xbox app, something I've talked about a little bit on this. They also said that in March at GDC, we'll be getting more Xbox app news as well. So looking forward to that as far as, this whole Xbox everywhere thing, everything that they're doing to add value to my games, and allow me to play them in different places. I'm cool with that. I know some people aren't, but that is what it is. And also, we just found out that Jason Ronald, whose new title is pretty badass, I want to get a T-shirt that says it. A VP of Next Generation, um, is going
In
to be
totality. It's just again,
yes.
Microsoft and Xbox own all of next gen, and he's the VP of all of it.
It doesn't say Microsoft Next Generation. It doesn't say Xbox Next Generation. No. It's just Vice President of Next Generation.
Oh, everything's an Xbox, so yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's why it's so broad, right? So he's going to be at CES. Lenovo is going to be revealing and talking about their new device. Valve is going to be there as well. And some are saying that it's because they're going to announce the first third-party Steam Deck-like device potentially. And also Xbox being there from the VP of Next Generation, which is the first time we've heard that title. Which is very interesting that the timing would be when he's showing up to something that they have that title for him. I think means something around Xbox OS and UI configurations, probably on like third-party devices and stuff like that as well. But who knows? Maybe they'll show off. There's been speculation about they could end up showing off prototypes or some kind of hardware things or anything like that, like they have in the past. They've done some things like that. So who knows what could be in store at CES here in January? But there will be something because he's showing up there for some reason, right? So we have that, we have Dev Direct, and then we have March. It's gonna GDC. So I think we're in store for more announcements, more news, more things going on with the Xbox ecosystem, and also potential exciting news, especially at the Dev Direct, where there's been more rumors about what could be there as well. So I think Xbox is going to get off to a hot start in 2025, guys. Not unlike this year, because you remember this year, 2024. We had the lapse, right, of game catalog until May. We had an awesome Dev Direct. Dev Direct was amazing. But then you had 4 months of not a lot of things, but you had a lot of negative speculation about things and rumors starting to put a damper on things that turned into February's what was it? What do you call it? A roundtable thing on the Xbox podcast where they sat down and tried to explain the starting stages of they're going to be testing putting games on PlayStation. And then we find out it progresses to be more and more as the years gone on, because they liked what they saw from that. So 2024 was off to a weird start. Energy was really strange, and that kind of carried through the year despite a lot of great releases. But I think 2025 is gonna be a little different. I think people are adjusting a little bit now, Fuzzy, a little bit. And I also think that having games to look forward to early in the year combined with the other announcements that they're having is going to kind of set off a little bit more positive momentum in 2025. What do you think?
I definitely think you're right on that. Although I'm pretty sure the doom and gloomers will find something to nitpick at. But yeah, the fact that Avowed, I know a lot of people wanted that for this year. It got bumped, and now we have it, square in the beginning of next year. So that kind of kills whatever narrative as far as like that lull or gap coming next year, because we'll have something to start off with right off the bat. Based on a reply on Twitter or X or whatever you choose to call it these days, we might even get South of Midnight as a shadow drop. Although I don't know if they want to do that after the whole Hi-Fi Rush thing, but I like the way the year is looking next year. Like just from the start, we have a pretty good idea, or we had a pretty good idea before the Game Awards of what was coming. At least the 4 games that we figure would be like the early half of next year, and we got another one added on to that. And it's sounding like there might be 2 or 3 more either sprinkled at the back end or somewhere in between. Not to mention like their third-party deals, which I know we're still waiting on Hollow Knight. I know Replaced is probably going to be somewhere before June, give or take. That's my guess on that one. And I'm pretty sure that there's some other, partnered games or second-party games, I guess you could say, like with a Contraband, that will probably be in the mix somewhere. Like if you were already overwhelmed with the back half of this year with Stalker 2 and Indiana Jones, yeah, I don't think you're going to be ready for 2025. I mean, trying to clear those games out before the year's out. I might get Indiana Jones finished up before the year's out. Stalker 2, I'm going to take my time because I'm probably going to wait to finish that before or just before the multiplayer comes out, which will be maybe sometime next year or so. But still got to finish off Shattered Space. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty packed year starting off. I mean, you got Doom Dark Ages. Yeah, I know that's multi-plat, but hey, it's in Game Pass day and date, and that's what I really care about at this point. A very strong chance for South of Midnight. We already have Avowed. You got Outer Worlds 2 somewhere around there. And we were pretty confident that Fable will be this year or 2025 as well. Now, is that before June, after June? We don't know. But that same team has probably got something lined up for 2026 with Forza Horizon 6. Like I still think of the 6s for 26, Elder Scrolls 6, although that might be pushed past 26. Forza Horizon 6, and then even though it doesn't have the name 6 in it, but E-Day with Gears, you figure a 6th entry or something to that effect. I think that's what we see for 26, but yeah, 25 as it stands now, man, and we're going to get more shown to us in June. So yeah, get those backlogs cleared as soon as possible.
Yeah, man. Pong, do you think that the actual more loaded half for Xbox next year is actually the first half, essentially?
Do I think what part?
Like, do you think the first half of next year could be potentially more loaded than the second? Because, like, I'm starting to think about that now as Fuzzy's talking. Like,
Well,
South
yeah.
of Midnight, Avowed.
And you got to remember that Booty is very concerned about GTA 6 as most of the industry is, right? So
Right.
yes, I do think there's potential
Like,
that
when do you think Doom's gonna launch?
Doom I still think is a nice summer title. I think
Like
June,
June?
July. Yeah, June, July. Yeah. I totally think again, there's not going to be a
Yeah.
dead the whole idea that there's dead times or there's bad times to launch stuff. No, I think Doom is a perfect time right around the showcase season. I think that's a perfect place for it. So yeah, I imagine that will be there. Could they do it earlier? Sure. Could we see potentially like February, March, April all have launches? Yeah, we could because the titles are so different from each other, right? You got Avowed, South of Midnight, and let's say Doom, right? They could certainly launch them in that order, 1 month each apart, just to make sure that they get the games out in case GTA 6 does launch. So you could see the first, let's say, 7, 8 months front loaded. And then they just hold
Yeah.
Fable, right? They just hold Fable to see what GTA does, right? And then they should know. I mean, again, I'm assuming we'll probably know closer to summertime if if
Right.
Rockstar's going to hit. And then you just place Fable wherever around GTA 6 that you feel comfortable. And I know Booty, again, whether it's a month after or whatever the case may be, you do that. But yeah, I definitely think they could front load the first part of next year for sure, just to make sure. They have
Yeah,
to
I
get
think.
these out. They can't. They can't keep pushing.
Yes, I was thinking like because like I think they'll still have their whatever Call of Duty thing for like later in the year, right? But like I think Fable may be like at the latest beginning of October if it hits next year or September because if unless GTA moves out of the way,
Right.
then they could have it further back. But
Absolutely.
if Fable's actually still is releasing next year, I think it would make more sense for the fall, right?
But where do you put Outer Worlds 2 in there though?
That's that. So yeah, because you want
and the Oblivion remake. Let's just say the Oblivion remake is real.
that's another one. Okay,
So
yeah.
you got two big RPGs.
Now I'm starting to understand Matt Booty's dilemma,
Right.
right? I'm starting to understand Booty's dilemma. We say just release when it's ready, right? Which I still believe in, but
Right. Absolutely.
But you don't want to release Avowed, Outer Worlds, and Fable the same week, right?
Well, no,
exactly. So
you
like,
can't do that.
like,
I'm not that crazy. Like I'm nuts, but I ain't that crazy. So yeah,
you want to space those out a couple months
Right.
each, I think, right? Just because they are all. I know that Avowed and Outer Worlds aren't going to be the most massive games, right? And Fable, maybe not so much either, but Fable gets a lot of replay time.
I'm thinking Fable, and if Outer Worlds 2 is twice as big as the first one, like they're saying in there,
that's pretty game. Yeah,
it's going to be pretty big. It's going to be a 60, 80 hour game.
Yeah, it's still a lot. That's still big.
Yes. Yeah.
I consider Indiana Jones a big game.
Right. And that one, most people are saying, 50, 60 hours if you want to
Yeah.
decide stuff too. So, yeah, I mean, those are, for most people, that's a big game, right? Now, again, when we're talking Elder
For
Scrolls,
me, it is. I was like trying to
yeah.
compare to some people that used these 100-hour.
Well, right. And I think, when I think big game, I think Starfield, I think Elder Scrolls, right? Where I drop 300 hours and it's like, okay, well, whatever. But I just think that most people would consider those big games. But yeah, you do have to worry about. That's why I said if you're going to front load the first half, you've got the potential there because you do have different genres there with Doom, South of Midnight, and Avowed early. You could get those three out of the way early and then play around with Outer Worlds 2, Fable, and Oblivion potentially at the 3 RPGs to end. It's gonna be nuts. I don't know how you do it.
It's so like it's your when you were mentioning it, you mentioned Oblivion remake as well, which is like after watching Cole's video, hearing also other people talk about it and stuff. Like again, there's been a lot of people that are saying this rumor about Oblivion being actually more of a remake and being slated for an announcement potentially soon, possibly being released next year, is actually very, very strong, right? So again, take everything with a grain of salt, but if that happens and it's actually more of a full-fledged remake, on top of Fable, which is planned, which is my most anticipated game of 2025 period, on top of Outer Worlds 2, which is twice the size, like you said, of Outer Worlds 1, and then Avowed. That's pretty hard to like, including the other games that you have, right?
There was rumors there's potentially 2 others, code names that could be ready next year too.
Mm-hmm. Like so the Oblivion would probably be one of those 3, right? Mm-hmm. I would assume.
That's why I said 2 more, but yeah. That's what we talked about last night. That Oblivion was probably one of the 3 that Jez and Special Nick were hinting at, as potentially ready for next year as well. Yeah. Yep.
So okay, let's look at Dev Direct, okay? Because I think that's the first thing we're gonna get. I don't know when the CES event is. That Jason Ronald's gonna be at. Is it later in January or is it?
I think it's like the 7th or something.
Yes, it is January 7th.
And I believe that last year Dev Direct was like more in the middle of January.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the first bit of news we might get is the CES thing. Mm-hmm. Whatever that is. Or it may just not be much. It may just be like some conversational stuff or something like that. Who knows? And then we'll have Dev Direct. Last year's Dev Direct, they actually also brought a third-party game from Square there, which surprised all of us. So that's not off the table again this year. Um, but there's been a lot of smoke that Fable is going to get a big showing at this Dev Direct. I was listening to Xbox 2 earlier, and Rand and Jez were talking about seeing a glimpse of new footage of pure gameplay of Fable. And Rand seemed a little excited about what he had saw, just from the way his voice screeched. Uh, so I think Dev Direct would put down Fable, where we could see potentially a release date for it, or at least a window, right? Then what else? Doom, because we haven't seen Doom again yet.
Yep. If Oblivion's real, that's going to be there.
Oblivion would be, which was rumored to be a January announcement already, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
Oblivion remake. So that's 3.
Mm-hmm.
4th game. Well, Oblivion's already the surprise, right?
Yeah. Well, third party's now open, right? Because they brought Square in, so we could
Final
have a third
Fantasy
party
16.
surprise there too.
Maybe they put bring out Claire Obscure because they know that that's had a lot of hype.
Yeah, they could do that. They could have a deep dive on Claire Obscure as third party.
Because I also think that'd be a good one to show more of, because it did generate a lot of hype when it was shown. But besides that, the first party games that we do know about,
Is Towerborn there again or no? To announce full release?
no, I don't think they would bring it at Dev Direct again, because people are already playing the game in preview.
No, I get that. I was just
Yeah.
asking if you thought for full release that they might do it. But
Yeah, I mean maybe. But I think it's actually dropping in game preview on Xbox technically before it's even getting its official release.
right.
Maybe later in the year.
Yeah.
But so maybe Outer Worlds 2.
I mean,
We haven't really. I mean, unless they wait until
any games
summer.
there are going to be the ones that are out before the showcase, right? That's pretty much the assumption.
Yeah.
Is that what happened last year too?
Not exactly. I
Okay.
think. Wait, was Hellblade? Yeah, Hellblade was before the
Yes.
showcase.
Correct.
Aura was
Aura
Aura before or after?
After the showcase. After the showcase. So, okay, so they could technically still do. I mean, again, Fable's supposed to be there. So that if Colt's right about that and Fable's going to be there, then that blows that idea out of the water. So I guess they could do Oblivion for sure, a Fable, which is going to be big. I imagine the Fable. Well, they could save it for showcase and have a massive one. But Fable, Oblivion, don't need to see South of Midnight anymore. South of Midnight, I don't think.
Yeah, they
they'll
keep
bring it
showing gameplay clips and everything on Twitter.
yeah, I just don't.
The
Yeah.
thought of that releasing earlier next year seems more and more likely.
Yes.
How much they're posting about it.
Correct. So yeah, a Doom breakdown, and then a third party in there, I guess. Unless they got a surprise. Unless they got another surprise.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's something Activision Blizzard
Hmm.
that could be a surprise, like Tony Hawk, it was rumored, or that they're coming back with something, or
The other Call of Duties, because they got achievements now or something.
yeah, they just added achievements to those. There was speculation about other, or not a speculation. There's actually other studios that were formed within ABK for games and stuff. So we know they're cooking stuff, but I think I don't know if this is gonna be the place to announce a game, right? I think it'd be more than likely show some of these games that we've already seen that are coming sooner, right?
Yes.
So that's why I said Outer Worlds 2, because we've seen it twice. We had the reveal trailer, which was like a we don't know what this game is trailer, right? Then we had just the trailer that we saw at the Game Awards. And if we have another one coming up at Dev Direct, that would be kind of like their gameplay.
Yes.
And we saw it about it last year, right? So
I mean, if Well, we just don't know. It's so if Final Fantasy VII is finally up next year and they can talk about it, because it sounds like it seems like the way that they've been hinting around this is that they're just waiting. Like there's
Yeah.
got to be a time when Sony's exclusivity runs out at this point or something. So if that is up and they could talk about it in 2025 coming to Xbox, you do it at this direct, just like you did with their other announcements for Square, right?
Yeah.
That would be massive, bro. I mean, that would be a huge surprise, just like it was to see Visions of Mana last year at the direct. So those types of partnerships would be huge to have a surprise come out like that. I think Persona 6 is too big. I was trying to think of their other partners that they could do it with.
Yeah.
Persona 6 is something you do at a showcase. I don't think you do it at a Dev Direct. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm curious if they're going to throw, because again, if they've got two, let's say that the Oblivion's one of the three. If there's two others, let's say if just one of them is going to show up next year out of the surprise games, then that could be the fourth. I mean, that it's something we don't know.
Yeah.
That's there. Maybe Contraband is surprisingly ready. Right? Contraband needs a showing. We haven't seen anything except for a teaser trailer. Right?
Mhm.
If that thing still exists and they're finally ready in 2025, that would be that'd be another summer game, right? That'd be another perfect summer game. You surprise and show up with the direct with that. So that would be big.
Do we think that they will always only do 4 for the direct or
I think it
5 for the
depends on
direct?
times. I think it
Well,
depends on the time.
They've had 5 the last 2
Yes.
years.
Yes.
Because the 5th game the year before last was Hi-Fi Rush.
Correct. Yep.
Right, which was a surprise.
Mhm.
Right? Last year they had Visions of Mana
Yeah.
as well. So like if the Grub rumor was right about Perfect Dark originally being planned for 2025, that could be one they could show as well. Although we got a pretty good look at it at Summer Game Showcase this year. So I don't know, man. It's tough to say. The problem with Xbox is there's so many damn projects we know about.
Yeah. That's
Right?
why I think this Dev Direct is like 8 to 10 plus. Now, I don't think all of those are going to be big games, but I do think something smaller size, like maybe the Wu-Tang game or maybe Contraband, gets shown there. Because even though it's a partnered thing, I think they see that as a smaller title in comparison to like Fable or Outer Worlds and things. So I think they hit us upside the head with 8 to 10 games on that first direct. And that kind of keeps us happy until June, let's say. And then they hit us with another, they hit us with 30 plus games like they usually do. Some new, some, retouch as far as like giving an update, maybe a release date. And then something like Gamescom and Tokyo. Tokyo, I think we get OD if we don't get it sometime or see it sometime again between now and June. But I really think this Dev Direct, especially after they ride this wave of whatever we see at CES, I think they start hitting gamers where their attention is, and it's like, hey, here's a game, here's another game, here's 5 more, here's 2 more, and it's like, right. I think this Dev Direct is going to be a statement for the year, and it's only getting started, kind of thing. That I think they hit us upside the head with 8 to 10 games.
The back catalog for Activision Blizzard, they could do that at Direct Easy, especially if they're bringing back like the Transformer games. If they went out and relicensed stuff to have, like, let's say the roadmap for the Call of Duty launches, and then to say, oh, and by the way, we went out and got the licensing for Transformer games, and those are going to be dropping on such and such a date. Oh, we went and got the licensing for Marvel again to bring back whatchamacallit. I just lost it in my head. No, Deadpool would be great, but I'm thinking about the God, why can't think of it? Anyways, losing my mind. But yeah, I just think that would even be big enough to be at a direct, because that would be exciting. And especially with this push that everything is an Xbox, right? With their new marketing, with everything being out there, because again, like Deadly Headley said, they got to inform people and educate people what Game Pass is, what it all entails. So if they believe that they are starting to hit these bigger mass markets and people are starting to realize there's more that Xbox offers, adding those types of titles to the library isn't going to be for everybody, but I think it's big enough because so many people have been waiting on those titles to come back that I think you could have it in a direct as a big kind of like, hey, hurrah, like, Fuzzy was saying. It's more than 8 to 10 games. Yes, it's older games, but it's still exciting, and I think they can pull it off here too and do that.
Yeah, we Jasper saying, are you talking about Ultimate Alliance?
Yeah, thank you. God, I couldn't.
Yeah.
It was there and then it was gone. God, I hate getting old.
I
Thanks, Jasper. Appreciate it.
So many times I'm speaking in like a normal word that is just part of normal vocabulary, just escapes my mind. I'm like,
How many times have we talked about it? Like, I've talked about it a billion times. It was one of the first things I brought up after the ABK deal. Like, let's go do this. And it just goes away. It just slips my mind when I'm talking. Anyway.
Yeah, I hate that, man. So also, shout out to Ray Oid, also called out Everwild.
Oh, like, boy.
I mean, Sea of Thieves is like, we haven't gotten, as far as I know, we haven't gotten any massive big like content announcements for Sea of Thieves in a while, ever since they put it on PlayStation. Like a couple years ago, they had the whole Pirates of the Caribbean thing that they did, and they've done normal updates since then. But I'm wondering if it's time for them to focus on what's next and finally make another push for their next game, right? And if Everwild is actually rocking there, which supposedly it is, maybe it's time to show that again. And could that be sooner than we all think because we just haven't heard about it in so long, right? What is it? Like, what the hell is it? That's a good call out, Ray. Anything's possible, man. Yeah. So, and Mag, is that a new account for Mag? Is that actually Mag? I don't recognize this one. The Mag Show. Is that a new account, Mag?
Is that his like YouTube version? Like, probably he might be able to.
The Mag Show. Did you start a new something I don't know about? I haven't been paying attention, man. Says Activision has something to show for June, July. Yeah, no, it could definitely. Oblivion in June, just heard today.
Okay.
As far as that, Mag, do you mean release in June or announcement in June?
He goes, "It is me." LOL.
It is I, the Mag.
Good to see you, Mag. Good to see you, brother. And Contraband still exists. I've watched the gameplay. Perfect.
Yeah, so you never know when that's going to show up again.
Right. Love to hear that. Yeah. I'm curious too, Mag. Is Oblivion launching in June or showcasing in June?
Because if it's announced in June, it could also be like a shadow drop too.
Yeah.
That would make sense for like a remake, right? Yeah. This guy. Oh man. So I've been trying to ponder on this a lot lately, trying to decide the slate. And I've been trying to decide what the other 2 games are that could be potentially for next year. Besides that, and maybe Everwild could be one of them. That would be really, really freaking cool. So CES, are we expecting? Okay, like the fact that Jason Ronald is showing up there as the VP of Next Generation. Do we think that he's actually going to have anything like kind of cool to talk about there regarding handhelds or devices or Xbox app functionality on third-party devices or anything like that? Pong, what would you expect Jason Ronald's VP of Next Generation to have to say at this January event? Why do you think he's going?
I think it has to do with potentially the work that they've been doing on Windows and potentially an Xbox OS, right, for handhelds. I think that they probably have something to talk about. He has something to talk about from the software side of things as far as handhelds goes, because I'm assuming they're going, if their handheld is, as Phil says, years away, right, and that they are still testing, I'm assuming they're going to have some third parties test out their new Windows, operating system, their lean and mean gaming version of Windows, or this Xbox OS, prior to it, because it's a perfect way, just like how, supposedly this is where we're going to hear that the Steam OS is going to be on a Lenovo. For the first time, they're going to have a separate button to push. So I think that's where it is. I would love it if he was bringing some details about the hardware, whether it is the handheld stuff or potentially looking down the road at what the box is going to look like when they drop it. But I think that this would be the spot that they start talking about these updated things that they're doing to push their ecosystem forward to where they need it to be. Because again, that's been the big kind of hold up in a lot of ways, both on Windows PC, etc. Why their storefront doesn't, compete at all. And everybody talks about how if they're going to do this push where Xbox is everything, no matter what device it is, then you're going to have software that actually works and works well and is efficient and is easy for devs to work with to make sure that they live up to the advertising that everything is an Xbox. Because as Jez pointed out in his articles and has brought up many times, it kind of is, but not completely yet, because we can't play every game we own on every device, right? We can't do all these kinds of things that if Xbox is actually going to push into that area, which obviously they're doubling and tripling down on, and they're going after 2 billion, 3 billion people, then they're going to have to make those strides. So I think that's what Jason's here for as VP of Next Generation. I just want to hear him address his new title and how he explains it. That I want next gen.
I want when he comes out, there'd be some badass intro music, like like Stone Cold, like
WWE,
and he comes out, like walking. He's got the shirt on, as VP of Next Generation. And he just starts doing like a pong right there, chugging the beers, like what's up, everybody? I'm here to lay down some shit.
Comes down with the Xbox flag. Just waving it as he comes down. Yeah,
I'm showing up here bringing innovation, motherfuckers. Yeah, that'd be cool. That's a badass title. Buzz, what do you think? Why Jason Ronald showing up CES?
I'm thinking primarily because Valve is going to be there as well. I think we get to see both Steam OS on other handhelds and Xbox OS potentially for other handhelds, as well as maybe other desktops and laptops kind of thing. Like I think because Steam was working on that for a while, and I know Xbox was kind of working on some of that stuff, I think we get to see it and see that it runs on existing hardware that's out there now, and it gives us probably a peek or a window seat of what we could probably expect for their hardware a year or two later, at least for a handheld. I think the big question is going to be how this Xbox OS operates and allows you to use your console game apps as well as PC game apps from like the Windows Store. And if that device also can have Steam on it, you can have your Steam app or Steam game apps on there as well. So I'm hoping that this is going to be the blurring of the lines between console and PC in a device with a layer of software to make it easy, so you don't have to worry about any of the behind the scenes stuff or emulation stuff. They'll have it all taken care of for you.
Right on. Yeah, I think I think it's going to be about the third party handhelds and stuff like that. Like talking about, hey, it's going to be more of the Xbox experience. Like we're improving, doing all these things, and explain how they're optimizing for like the experience to be more so feel like a true Xbox experience when you're getting one of those devices. So going forward, if you buy a handheld, right, for whatever company makes it, and you boot up and it has this just like absolutely like native like Xbox OS to it, then it's like, hey, this is pretty much like an Xbox. Yeah, you can get out of that and then go do other stuff. But besides that, yeah, I think that's probably what he's there for. I don't expect that to be like anything huge or whatever, but I expect some pretty interesting things to come out of it. Then we have the Dev Direct, and then we have GDC, and the GDC thing would be about the Xbox app in regards to the PC and configuration there. And regard also the same thing about what they're talking about with making all these other devices feel more like Xbox stuff like that. So, interesting stuff, man. But I think it's going to be off to a great start because we got games, we got news, we got everything cooking for 2025, which is exciting. No idea. That's all you know. Anyway, all right. So, moving on. There's something that I was starting to think about, and maybe this is too early to think about, but 2026. 2026. Now, as crazy as it seems, with 2025 being absolutely insane, if Perfect Dark, which if the rumor is that from Grub that Perfect Dark is the game that's moving to 2026 that was planned for 2025, I never thought it was even had a chance at 2025, right? So if that were to actually be planned for 2025, that means it's coming 2026 most likely. So Perfect Dark is actually 2026. What else
For 26.
for 26? I mean, we're looking ahead here. I mean, 2025 is bonkers, right? But so would that mean Perfect Dark could be potentially an earlier 2026 game, or would they go ahead and give it like another full like 6 months to a year to make it like a later?
I think you give it as much time as necessary. I think
Yeah.
it's your big holiday game. Just like Fable, you're bringing back a beloved franchise, even if it's been gone for a long time. I think it's an important one. So I think you give it as much time as it needs. And so I think I would put that as holiday. I think Clockwork Revolution is one of your early games in 2026. I still think that there's potential that Gears is ready also by the end of 2026, which then causes a dilemma if you got Perfect Dark and Gears. But you got plenty of months in there. And I think a lot, Mav, hinges on if you're going to have hardware that year, like how you're going to do this, right? But I think both of those, then I think you start looking at Everwild, right, from Rare at that point as well. I think that might start getting ready. What else we got in here? I know I'm missing a ton of stuff here. Fuzz, help me out. What else we got?
I'm thinking what, like State of Decay 3 or
State of Decay 3, correct. Yep, State of Decay 3 2026 as well. You know, I would love to say that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be there, but it's not. You know, it would be great if Todd and his team got it together, but I just don't think so. I think that's 2027. But I think God, what else is in there? I know I'm finishing. Listen, when
Did
are
you
we
say
getting
Forza Horizon?
Forza Horizon? Do you think so, Fuzz? 2026? You think it's about
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
I think it's 26 because of Fable being 25. Even though they're not the same team, but I think they want to give each other room.
Yeah.
And
ZeniMax
we-
Online's game is either 2025 or 2026.
Oh God, if that hits next year too long, but like that's another RPG.
Right, I know.
Like
We didn't even talk about that yet, but yes.
I forgot because I forgot. But we
Right.
expected that game
Is that-
maybe
is that one of the
this
code
year
names?
originally.
Is that one of the code names?
Oh my God. Okay. What are the code names? Was Chicago?
I'll have to find them again here. Hold on.
There was one of them like Ignis or something like that?
I'll have to look it up. Hold on.
And those code names are for first party, right?
Yes.
To include
I would
Activision and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I would assume so.
Hold on. I'm gonna go find it.
what was that Activision studio that they just formed?
Oh, the yeah, wrong night to ask me these questions. I can't think.
Yeah, same.
Hold on. I gotta do one thing at a time, everybody. Let's see if I can find Special Nick's freaking tweet again. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay. Well, I got the name for the Activision studio. It's called
Okay.
Elsewhere Entertainment.
Elsewhere. Okay. perfect.
Yes. Okay.
Elsewhere.
I think one of those code names might be tied to them. I'm just taking a wild guess.
Okay, from elsewhere,
Already?
I think. What?
With 2 years baking, this will be like an early, June showcase thing that we see. It might be a smaller game just to start out.
Could be. I mean, obviously we know it could be.
Jasper said Kestrel and Platinum are
Okay.
the Bethesda code names, and I think earlier in the chat, Jasper, you had mentioned that those games were slated for after Doom, if I'm not mistaken, in the Bethesda leaks. Is that what you had said earlier? I was distracted by the weirdo in the chat. Sometimes somebody's like actually like just strange enough that it becomes distracting. Like, but it's like entertaining at the same time. I'm like, I don't want to necessarily kick them because I'm just like real curious what they're gonna say. But it's like person. Anyway, it becomes too much of a distraction. You got to get rid of it.
They kept ramping it up because they were being ignored. So it's like,
Yeah,
look at me.
Or just drunk. One of the two.
Probably.
Uh,
I was leaning more towards that one.
of course.
Yep. So Double Fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And they got multiple projects.
Yeah, they had Kiln and something else.
So Kiln could be next year as well, right? Because that was rumored to be this year. A lot of people were thinking that was going to be Shadow dropped, right? Assuming that's probably pretty close. So that could be one of the next year ones. That could be obviously at the Direct as well. So, and then they've got at least two more, right? I think they got 3 projects. So we could be looking at an Obsidian situation with Double Fine where you do see them launch, year 1, year 2, year 3. They could have their games lined up that way. So we could be looking at 25, 26, 27 for Double Fine because, again, their games and the size of their games, and they've grown as well. Double Fine has actually grown underneath Xbox as well. So I think it's possible that they could do that way. That would be pretty crazy too.
Yeah, I kind of missed the Double Fine where we got those like in the 360 era.
Yeah.
Right? Where there was just like something every year, it seemed like from them. But it was always just something so different, right? But what my dream game for them to be making would be a new Brutal Legend game.
Right.
I think they are working on that. Because remember, what's his name was retained after Psychonauts. And he said he'll be working on another project with them. So
Jack Black?
Yeah.
Okay. What if one of these projects is Wu-Tang game?
Yeah.
Was that specifically a Microsoft funded, or were they just?
I thought it was originally when that came out.
It was funded.
It was supposed to be a Microsoft funded.
Okay.
So does that mean that they would be publishing it or assisting? Because there's a little difference there with some of the like Stalker 2. They're not the publisher, right?
Yeah.
But they greatly assisted with that game with funding and stuff, right? So there's kind of a like Hi-Fi Rush, not Hi-Fi Rush. Sorry, not Hi-Fi. It was the High on Life. That's another example of another one, right? Where it has like a strong Xbox presence as but it's not technically published by, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to think. Did you find them, Pong?
Yeah, I found it finally. Chinju, Jaws, and Chicago.
Chinju. Jaws?
Yes.
Like the shark Jaws?
Yes. Like your mouth, your jaws. Yeah.
Okay, so
Chicago.
Right. I don't know how they choose project code names, and it's like they draw a random word out of a hat or something. So you can't really look too much into those things because you could have something that's completely off the wall different, right, than what the actual game is. So, but Jaws is interesting.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think that's Toys for Bob.
Toys for Bob? You think their next game is a shark game?
I don't think it's a shark
just-
game, but I think it's going to be a robot. Like the first thing that comes to mind, Jaws the shark, but I think of like a robot with like a mechanical jaw kind of thing, for some weird reason. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the Toys for Bob one.
Yeah, it just seems like an odd project code name, right? So and those came from Special Nick. Or Jez's comment to Special Nick, right, on Twitter.
Yes.
When Special Nick said that he had heard about 3
Special
games,
Nick's was Special Nick's
essentially.
quote, because he had quote tweeted Clovereel, and Clovereel had set the lineup for 2025, the release schedule, which was Outer Worlds 2, Avowed, South of Midnight, Doom, and Fable, right? So he had put up his normal post. Special Nick had put over the top of it, quote tweeted it, and said, I was actually given code names for 3 unannounced Xbox games, all due at the moment next year too. One of the games I actually found out what it was, and the people will be excited, I reckon. Oblivion Remake fits right into that. I think that makes the most sense. That's been all the smoke. Lots of people have heard it. There's been lots of fire. I think that's what he was. And then Jez responded to him and just simply put Chinju, Jaws, Chicago, ? As if those are the names you heard as well.
Right.
And I don't know. Okay. Let me see if Special Nick never responded. So
yeah,
to Jez
so they probably talked in DMs. We got 2026 Perfect Dark. I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna slate it now. Right. Big Call of Duty game as well. The Forza Horizon 6.
Yeah. I'm
gonna call it that. I think that's when we're getting that as well, Fuzzy. It's time, right? By then. If I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and say Everwild is 2026.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I think it's got to release. I mean, again, they can't keep going here, so
right at some point, But I'm gonna throw it something crazy.
Okay.
Now, if this is either 2026 or 2027, I believe.
Yeah.
And this is my reasoning on this comes from the Bethesda leaks as well. Okay. So but I'm kind of torn on it because of the ZeniMax Online game.
Okay.
But originally, when the Bethesda leaks happened, and I've gone over this a few times, we had a timeline, right? Now that timeline got pushed back. It got pushed back because of COVID by about 18 months or so. But in that timeline that had just gotten pushed back, everything has fallen in order as far as release cadence. Originally, there was Starfield. There was Starfield expansion. Then there was, on the leak, there was Doom Year Zero, which turned out to be Doom Dark Ages. Okay. Then next, what would be the following release after Doom the Dark Ages, but in the same year, would be the next expansion for Starfield, which is potentially codenamed Starborn, or referred to as Starborn, or that could be something else, right? And then also the ZeniMax Online game, which I think is probably either Kestrel or what was the other one that Jasper said? Jasper hit that, and Platinum. So one of those, I think, is the ZeniMax Online game.
Okay.
And I'm leaning towards Kestrel just because. So that could be next year, right? It could be. It's MMO, so it's hard to find like how that's gonna fit in with everything else anyway. But 2026 because of the pipeline and order. This was slated to release 3 years after Starfield. Was Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, it was supposed to, yes. But
So originally with Bethesda's plans, when they were acquired, that was the plan to release 3 years after Starfield. It was Starfield,
Mhm.
it was Starfield Expansion 1, Starfield Expansion 2, and the following year after that was Elder Scrolls 6, right? And they talked about how the technology from Starfield was
Correct.
being built to also create the next Elder Scrolls game.
Mhm.
So I think Elder Scrolls 6, if it doesn't actually hit their original plans, would end up falling into 2027.
Mhm.
But within the next couple years, we're going to see Elder Scrolls 6 and also the ZeniMax Online game
Yes.
on top of all these other RPGs.
Yes.
So is it too? Do we think there's a chance that it actually hits 2026, or do they just because they're owned by Xbox now that they give them extra time and funding to make this the biggest thing ever, and say, hey, take a whole extra year, 2027.
That's what I said. I think the only thing was, and I said this a long time ago when we were talking about this, like last maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. The only thing that is going to help them a lot, like you said, Evan, you kind of just alluded to it, right? The creation engine is now updated, right? They're going to do more, obviously, because they're going to be on the cusp of next gen with Elder Scrolls 6. If Xbox doesn't launch in 26 and Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't launch in 26, as far as Xbox launching new hardware, then 27, they're going to line up. And Elder Scrolls 6 is going to have to take advantage of that hardware. So they're going to still do more work to Creation Engine, but most of the major updates are done to Creation Engine. So that is going to speed up their development on Elder Scrolls versus Starfield, at which they had hired a whole separate engineering team, which was great to update Creation Engines. First time they've ever had actually a team working on the engine. It used to be the devs used to split their time between game and engine work. So that was a big move at the time, but that will speed up the process of creating Elder Scrolls 6. But the way that Todd's talking about this, listen, how much I love Todd, and Bethesda's my favorite studio, but I'm realistic too. When Todd starts talking about they want to make the biggest fantasy RPG of all time, I gotta expect a delay in there. Like I just do. Like if he's gonna go outside the box on this one, he's gonna start to incorporate potentially some AI stuff in there or whatever he fancies at that moment, then I gotta think like as much as I would love to say it's gonna launch in 26, I realistically think 27 is the year for it. That's just where I'm at with it. So I think if you're Xbox, you give Todd as much time. It's going to be a multi-plat day one as well. I think. I don't think they're going to keep. I think they're going to be working on both PlayStation versions, potentially the Switch 2 versions as well as the Xbox version, right? But they're going to be prepping for next gen. So 27 just feels right for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of agree
Yeah.
with you on that, but it's just crazy to think the possibility still.
Yes.
We get
Which-
to at least see it in 26.
Yes.
Yeah.
And think about the hype. Think about the hype at 26 showcase. That's why my goal is that I want to be there if they're going to show it in 26, because that would be ridiculous. The hype would be off the charts, man.
If we don't see it in 2025, we're going to see it.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
God, it could be so fantastic. I do think too, Mav, if we get the Oblivion remake this year, I think the Fallout 3 remake is real as well. That could be potentially, if we get an Oblivion next year, then 2026 could be Fallout 3 remake, which is going to be massive unto itself as well. I think that would make a lot of sense with the Fallout franchise. When is the new season of Fallout? They're starting taping in 2025. So 2026 is when season 2 starts, Mav? Is that the case?
yes.
I think it might be summer of 26 or 25. I mean,
25?
I think summer of 25 is when we'll see the first or the next season. I think it was supposed to be July.
I don't know.
Okay.
Sometime next year, I would think.
Well, the hype is going to be continuing no matter what, and I imagine there's going to be a season 3 and season 4 if they do as well as they did with season 1. So I think you need to get a Fallout game out there. Obsidian, I do believe, could be working on one on the side for sure. I think one of their teams could be taking that on. I think they probably convinced Todd that they got to do another spinoff while everybody waits for Fallout 5, because that's again 8, 9, potentially 10 years away at this point. So they have to get another one in there. So I think that's going to happen. But in the meantime, you just like Oblivion for Elder Scrolls fans, you release a Fallout 3 remake from the ground up in UE5, like they're doing with Oblivion. Massive. That's a massive. That's like a brand new game for most people. It'll be awesome. So I kind of like Bethesda.
Yeah, I like now that like we're this year's kind of up. We're just kind of like looking ahead at like possibilities. Like
Because there's so much out there, man. There's so much. We're not talking about. We know Machine Games is already working on the second game, which is probably Wolfenstein 3, right? They've probably had a small team working on that for quite a while, right? 26, 27. Their launch for their next gen. I'm telling you, if Booty is playing his cards right, if they have locked down when they're going to launch that next generation hardware, could have the greatest lineup of all time.
Do we see that late 2026?
I still think they're shooting for 2026. I still think they are. I think it just makes the most sense to take advantage of the situation now that Sony's locked into the PS5 Pro, and now that they're locked into that commitment, and they're not going to put out hardware until maybe late 2027, potentially early 2028. You take full advantage, and especially if you're not doing the traditional console, you're not directly competing one for one with them anymore. You just take advantage and launch in 2026 if you're ready. I think you got to get that advantage out there. That's why I said it a long time ago. It makes perfect sense to do that right now.
Oh, I remember the other game I wanted. I was thinking it was 2026. Blade.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Yeah.
If that's a launch title as well, jeez.
So I think 2026 we get Blade, Perfect Dark, Forza Horizon, whatever bigger Call of Duty for that year, Everwild, and if we don't have ZeniMax Online game in 2025, we're getting in 2026.
And Activision Blizzard's gonna be working on stuff.
Yeah, AB. It's crazy when you think it like it's like and what is ZeniMax Online's game? Let's just like I want we've dilly-dallied around this shit for a couple of years now, and it's like every time Summer Showcase season comes up, we believe there's strong evidence that they're going
years in development from that studio.
Ever since the first damn time when they announced those studios, they talked about how it was the biggest project. It was like something they were crazy excited for that they were doing. Now because of like feelings and stuff that have come up from some of the Bethesda developers from ZeniMax Online's team is about that they're crazy excited. Last year they said this was going to be a huge year for that studio. We didn't get any of the announcements, but it was rumored that it was going to be shown at the Summer Showcase, but they held it back. So we thought it could be the Game Award. So somebody said in the chat, what if that's revealed at the Dev Direct? I don't know, but maybe it's just held for the next Summer Showcase. But I think we're bound to find out what it is. But what the hell is it? Did they make a deal for something Star Wars? Because it's a very big possibility that happened. There was
my question, Mav, is let's put it this way. My question that I've been thinking about, well, just kind of on a consistent basis. If it was anything Bethesda IP related, right? Let's say it was Starfield, right? Because they have an MMO for Fallout, they've got an MMO for ESO.
Right, it would fall in line.
It would fall in line. Yeah. But if that was the case, 6 years, I personally think would have had at least a teaser about it at one of the showcases, right? Because everybody kind of expects that they're going to make a Starfield MMO at some point to follow the other two. I think the only reason why we haven't had a teaser is because it is a licensed IP. I think the only reason why we haven't had the teaser is because they are going to be 1000% ready to show when, like, what, it's no questions asked. Like, if you teased 3 years ago or 2 years ago a new Star Wars game from ZeniMax Online, like the pressure and the amount of attention would be through the roof on that team, right? I think for them, kind of like Indiana Jones was kind of a surprise. I think they just wait until they're absolutely 1000% ready. So I do believe this is either a Marvel license or the Star Wars license that we originally heard was potentially there. And I think that's why so many people are excited, because we've needed a new Star Wars MMO. No flack to whatchamacallit that's still alive, right? No shade. It's just that it's so damn old and outdated. It's crazy. A brand new Star Wars MMO, even with the IP not as big as it once was due to Disney, if they did it right, and that team knows how to make MMOs after everything they've learned from ESO, like, you can't deny it. Like, that would be a massive announcement. Like, I think that would set the internet on fire. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
Are those the
But
two most likely scenarios, you think? Either Starfield MMO or Star Wars?
yes, or Marvel in some capacity. Like, that's the only other thing I could think of, because when they started this 6 years ago, Marvel was at its peak, right? So, but that was the exact same time that Lucas started firing up and started saying, "Hey, we're going to license to anybody we're going to license to more people who want to make games," because that's when the EA deal was ending.
Yeah, and then we know they did a
Lines
deal
up
for
perfect.
Indiana
They did
Jones.
Indiana
They
Jones.
did a deal for Blade
Right.
as well.
Mhm.
We
So-
need a new Star Wars
Yeah.
MMO. It's been too long. There's zero reason in a universe that massive, that popular, to not have an MMO. Like, out of all the things that you can have MMOs about, like, Star Wars
Yeah.
is the perfect setting. And to have a team like ZeniMax Online, I would see why they were excited internally, because it could be just gigantic, bro.
I mean, look how much, even though it's Machine Games, but look how much love they put into Indiana Jones. Like, as much as the movies may not, resonate with the fans, Indiana Jones definitely resonated with the fans. So I can imagine this being along the same lines. Like, I remember hearing rumors before, although it was believed the Coalition or somebody else was doing, like, what do you call them? A bounty hunter. What is it? Now the names are escaping me. Mandalorian game or something along those lines. So, man,
Fuzz, let's put it out there too, because I mean, we could be completely off base here, and it could just be a brand spanking new IP, that they created themselves, that has no connection to anything Bethesda's done. It has no licensed IP. I mean, I guess it's still kind of reasonable to think like they're not ready to tease it. Maybe they've been because it's a brand new IP, and obviously they want to get it right. And launching a brand new IP, if it is truly an MMO, is really tough these days. Look how many have come and already disappeared in the time frame that they started working on this game. Maybe they're just being extra cautious and just really putting the time into it. Do you think it could be a brand new IP? I mean,
it's possible. It just would be weird to think that they would choose a new IP for his MMO.
yes, it would.
Right? Just because of the risk with that.
Right.
Like, it's already risky when you're doing
Right.
those games. But if you were also a license holder, or you had this IP that was precious, like Star Wars, right? And you are wanting to, hey, okay, we're gonna do an MMO. You want to go after just somebody who's proven that they can do it, I think. Right? I don't know what they did with the whole Knights of the Old Republic shit with Aspire. That was just crazy. They've just done some shitty things, in my opinion, on some of their other projects. But like for MMO like this being such a big thing, like I would, if you go after the team that has Elder Scrolls Online, which has had a thriving community now for years, and done really, really well, I think you would go that direction, right? And it would make sense what they did a multi-game deal potentially at that time with Disney properties, Lucas and Marvel and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to think about. But if it's Starfield MMO as well, I'm equally excited.
Oh, so am I. Oh,
Quick question for you guys. Does Disney own an IP that's cyberpunk like or Blade Runner like?
Oh, Tron is about the closest you're going to get, I believe. I'm trying to think if they got anything else, but Tron would be your closest.
Who owns like Alita Battle Lane? I don't think they do.
Nah. I don't
It's
think
kind
they
of
do.
cyberpunk.
It is kind of cyberpunk.
There's also what's the anime that had that's Ghost in the Shell. That wouldn't be Disney. Wouldn't own Ghost in the Shell either, right? I'm trying to think of anything that potentially Fox could have owned that Disney had acquired. with the
Mhm.
Fox acquisition, right? Because you were leaning more that direction in that regard.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if it is licensed and it's not Star Wars, they would probably want to do something futuristic like along those lines, like a cyberpunk or a Blade Runner style type game.
Yeah, I think whatever it's going to be is going to be different from obviously ESO. I don't think it's going to be a fantasy title, right?
Yeah.
I mean, could they do a Lord of the Rings MMO? Potentially, but I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't with ESO. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, I think it's got to be something completely different, Starfield, or in a futuristic type setting, or a licensed IP that's like got that extra technical layer to it, and not high fantasy types. Like that's that. I don't know, man. I've just been so excited for this game, and I just every year, like Mav said, every year it's been, oh, is this the year? Is this the
Yeah.
year?
It's
6
gotta
years.
it's gotta be, man. It's gotta be.
Well, they just changed up their ESO, how
Yeah.
they're going to distribute the ESO updates. They're no longer going to do one yearly big update. They're gonna break it up over, you know, quarterly almost for ESO updates, so they can bring more content to their players on a more regular basis. So not everybody's waiting all at one time. So they are definitely changing how they are doing ESO, but ESO continues to be
Yeah.
it's over $1 billion franchise now. I mean, what can you say? It's huge.
Oof. BT Maverick, shout out to BT Maverick 707 who gifted 5 fun speculation memberships. I super appreciate you, bro, and all the support on the channel. I hope
Choo
you
choo,
guys
motherfucker. Choo choo.
are enjoying the content. And yes, for that, we'll throw you a
Give it to him.
Look at me, I'm 3-bit, I'm the conductor, this is fun. Choo choo!
everything. Long hates that. Fuzzy loves it.
I just think just because I still hear that it could possibly. I thought it was 3-bit at first. In his dumb
You
voice.
actually thought it was 3?
Yes, because I thought it was his dumb
I
voice.
did
that
a
he
good
does.
job then.
Yeah, you did. You did.
That was my goal. Because I was trying to recreate the dumb voice that he does, not his actual voice. You know, when he talks like his little accent that he does at the end. Hi, thanks everybody. Watch Pixelated Echoes on Sunday. Wait, I'm gonna cancel it. It'll be Wednesday or Tuesday. Who knows? I was trying to do that. Try not to 3-bit. If the ZeniMax Online game does not get announced again this year, 3-bit will be officially to claim again.
Yes, absolutely.
Some kind of wrench he threw in the plans or something. Oh, so yeah, I like it's crazy to think about. I was tempted to go back and look at the list of the studios, but I don't even know. The thing that's tricky with Xbox now, like a couple of years ago, after they had acquired ZeniMax Bethesda, had made this list of all the studios and all the projects and all the rumored projects that had strong foundations of what they were working on, right? But now it's like I don't even know what studios they have, because they have Elsewhere, which was a new one, right? But they have the so they don't have Toys for Bob, but they're still working with Toys for Bob, right? But there's also the spin-off studios for different studios now. So it's like I don't know which studios have how many teams they all have. And the rumored projects, there's so many damn code names out there now. It's hard to keep up with. Unlike before when we had maybe 7 code names or 6 that was strong things. Now it's probably 20 are still floating around there. And we still know all the games that are actually slated. So it's really hard to think about Xbox with everything they have. It's like you could look at Blizzard. What was the latest thing about them doing a Space Marine project or something like that? Or not Space Marine, it's StarCraft.
Yeah.
But Blizzard alone has how many employees? 10,000?
Yeah.
Before the layoffs, I don't know how many they're at now, but that's just Blizzard. Then you have Activision. Activision started a couple more studios, right? Infinity Ward's working on another IP that we haven't had the announcement for yet. Recreating the same kind of list I made a couple years ago, Pong, might take me like a whole fucking weekend
Yeah.
of actually
Again,
trying to do research and figure all that out.
Again, there's stuff that we just don't know. They've moved people around and created new
Yeah.
teams that we probably still aren't aware of. We now know the teams have grown to sizes in many of the studios that they're allowed to work on multiple projects now, which before they were working on one. We've seen what Obsidian's done underneath Xbox now, what they're going to continue to do. Launching 2 games next year. Obviously, Valve was supposed to launch this year, but they had that goal of 5 games in 5 years or whatever it was, and it looks like they're going to hit that. So yeah, I mean, when you take that into consideration and all the flexibility that they now have with their studios and what they can pull off, yeah, I think it'd be a tough. It's going to be tough to keep track of everything all the time now, and we talked about this. We talked about this exactly what was going to happen. So I don't want to go back to ZeniMax Online, but just real quick, guys, I went back and read the old articles from 2022. It's actually 6.5 years in production as of now. They were at 4.5 in November of 2022. I went back and read these articles, and the lead guy, what's his name? Ben Jones. He was saying that it is a new IP. So, and their job postings were for seeking a lead quest designer to join our studio for the development of our next AAA game. This is a chance to join an experienced group of developers in pre-production for a new IP. So maybe it could be a brand new IP.
What would it be for MMO? Like for a new IP? I'm trying to like
that's my question. And there was another article where there was a discussion, old discussion on Reddit that said rumors about that new IP ZeniMax is working on say that the game is an MMO built in Unreal Engine, but according to multiple job vacancies at ZeniMax jobs, the project could be a third-person open-world action RPG. And then they list a bunch of the listings and how they are said, like lead technical designer listing mentions familiarity with third-person action or role-playing games. I mean, again, that fits in with MMOs because just like ESO, you do get the third-person choice if you want to play in third person. But yeah, it's interesting that they're saying a new IP like that, and that was direct out of Ben Jones. I mean, he said the same thing that it is a new IP and that he was excited to be working on a new IP. Could that be like just they've never worked on whatever licensed IP it is, so he calls it a new IP?
Right, yeah, like it's new IP.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to take it. Is it actually a brand new IP, or is it a new IP for them to work on?
Right.
Or is it like a new IP within the Star Wars universe? You know what I mean? Or is it like
that's what I'm saying. Like you could take it in different ways. But I was just curious because I went back and looked at the old articles. But yeah.
But also technically then Starfield was still a new IP.
Correct.
Right? But like even though it had been announced, still a new IP.
Correct.
So it could be.
But they started working on this in 2018. So yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't want to derail and go back. I was looking at the old articles and I thought it was curious because I had forgotten that they had quoted some of his stuff like that. Yeah.
If that actually, imagine that actually hits in 2025 also.
Yeah. Yep. It'd be nuts. And again, if it's an MMO, you can launch that at any time. Like it's not interfering with anything. It's an MMO. You're going to launch it everywhere. It's going to be on everything day one. It doesn't interfere with a damn thing. You don't count that like a AAA, like single player release or whatever. You don't think of it that way. You just drop it.
Right on. Yep. Omi Tony says I need to add some cozy music so Fuzzy can put his fan back on or he'll die.
I was thinking the only thing or the only game you still want to avoid possibly would be GTA 6, but
yeah, that's
going to be its own MMO whenever they get Vice City as their online thing. So
it's beautiful. It's amazing.
You can turn your fan back on now, Fuzz. Yeah. This is the feelings we're gonna get in 2025 for Xbox. Relaxing, smooth. Games all year round. Nothing to worry about here. We got Game Pass. Yeah.
Xbox isn't dead.
I like that song. That was actually
Mhm.
a lot chiller than I thought it would be. So yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be crazy for 2025. I think it's going to be off to a hot start. I think majority of the games are going to come out within that 8-9 month window from the beginning of the year. I think like from between January and September, I think we're going to have the bulk of everything. And there's a lot. So it's going to be almost like once every month and a half, 2 months, we're going to have big releases. So you're going to have stuff closer together. You're going to have Outer Worlds 2 maybe only like 6 months apart from Avowed, right? And then you're going to have Fable at some point in there. Meanwhile, you also have the Summer Games Showcase. You're going to have the Dev Direct in January. You're going to have more third-party deal announcements. Don't forget about the other game. When we're talking about the slate of games, guys, for all these big games we get to play on Xbox next year, they're also adding more value to a lot of those games because we're going to be able to access them everywhere because they're adding them to this. A lot of these are going to be added to the whole, hey, if you purchase the game, you can play it in the cloud thing, right? But we're also going to have a lot of those features with the Game Pass games that are coming from third-party companies. So adding to the RPG mix that we're talking about, how next year is going to be one of the craziest years for RPGs. Add the Clair Obscur game to that. But also, if you're just talking about bigger games in general, Atom Fall hits in March to add to all of this. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers as well, which looks pretty damn awesome. Um, and there's several others that are hitting Game Pass that I can't even think of everything right now that we're already familiar with. As far as indie games, you have 33 Immortals, you have Replaced, as well. So I think we're in for a good one. 2024 for me was awesome. Um, I know it was great for Pong and Fuzzy as well. Despite all the conversations going on around there, I think it turned out to be a fantastic year for games in general, but also for Xbox. And we'll have to see how 2025 pans out. These games still got to actually hit. They got to release and they got to be good. But for me, I don't see any reason why to think it won't be. And we could be sitting here next year at this same time, late 2025, a year from now, saying how 2025 was the best year of game releases ever in Xbox's history.
That's a fact, Jack. That's exactly what's going to happen next year. It's almost a lock at this point.
I mean, who else can compete with their slate next year?
Can't. Nobody. This is
I
the
mean,
avalanche, man.
Yeah, even like the third party companies that come onto just overall the amount of releases we got next year is insane.
I would say for second place, it's going to be a fight between Capcom and Sega. I think they're going to be the ones trailing behind as far as releases. I mean, they'll have multiple releases, but like I think Xbox is going to be like 2 a quarter, if not 3 a quarter next year. It's going to be insane.
Yeah. Capcom has quite a few games. Was there a rumor that they were bringing back a classic IP or something? Oh wait, no, never mind. I was thinking of our dumb fake conversation we were having in the DMs. Anyway, Omatoni says, "Can we pause the show and talk Fun Pop about how dope the Karate Kid Legends trailer looked?" I would ask Pong that, but I know he probably doesn't give a shit. I'm actually curious if he even saw the trailer.
Nope.
Okay. Did you even see the trailer, Fuzzy? The new Karate Kid trailer?
No, I haven't seen the Karate Kid one. I saw part of the Superman one, but that was about it.
Yeah. The new kid that they have for it, it looks like he's like talented martial arts. I'll just say that. Like his moves are pretty badass. Looked interesting. I'll have to wait and see. And on you also said and Superman. I like. I think Superman looks like a cool mix between kind of new age and the old school. Like my favorite Superman was actually Christopher Reeve. Right? I grew up with that Superman. I love those
Yep.
movies. I watched them over and over and over again. I loved Henry Cavill too. I thought he was a great Superman.
Hmm.
But like overall, that he wasn't utilized for all the movies as great as he could have been. There could have been like 4 standalone great Henry Cavill Superman movies, and it didn't end up happening, right? But where this is, the only thing I would say is I would like anytime there's a new take on a character, and if they're planning on doing multiple things with them, I still like an origin story to start everything off with, right? Like with the Christopher Nolan thing, you had Batman Begins, you had Batman, you had the Dark Knight, and you had the Dark Knight Rises, right? Some people are gonna like or not like some of those as much of those, but I like when you have a character to establish them and have like a great trajectory for a long term. But the only thing about it is they're bringing them in already. Like it seems like you know middle to earlier in his journey. But I mean, you got crypto there. It's really cool seeing crypto. I'm not like, oh come on, Pong. What?
Nothing. I can't stand it. You why? Why?
Why have crypto?
Yeah,
Yeah,
why?
I think they're trying to
Again,
bring a
it's
lot of stuff from the comics
just somebody
into it.
understands. Just somebody understands. I understand. I'm now past my prime. Like this shit is made for a whole new generation, and the new generation likes this dumbass shit. Okay, I know crypto was big in the comics. I know the history. I actually Superman is one of my favorite heroes. Right, I get it, but for the movie, why do we have to have the fucking again? It's just like Disney having this stupid cute little animal in every fucking thing they do now for Star Wars. I can't stand it. It's unnecessary bullshit. But I expect nothing less from James Gunn because I hate Gunn anyways. But I just expect nothing less from him. But when I saw the dog, I was like, okay, this is not for me. Like this is definitely not for me, bro. And what again? I know he is comic almost to a T from the comic, but the Green Lantern, really? Out of all of them, really? Out of
Yeah.
all the Green Lanterns,
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. It looks the haircut is just a little distracting.
it's from the comics. Like
Yes.
again, don't get me wrong, but like, why can't we just have cool shit anymore? Why do we have to have dumb shit? It's a conversation that's a bigger conversation. It's just weird, man. I just don't know why we make these choices. But anyways, I hope it's good. I
Yeah.
hope everybody loves it because I do love Superman. I really do.
So I think like in general, the James Gunn movies are going to be kind of fun and do like a lot of like crazy stuff. Um, I actually am one of the rare ones that actually likes the other Suicide Squad more. Um, but I thought the whole starfish thing was stupid in that movie, but it was still a good movie and it was fun and entertaining. So I love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. They're like, I absolutely love them. So what I'm hoping is there can be like a good mix between serious and stupid fun between it. I will say that my favorite thing about it is seeing him as Clark Kent and Lois Lane. It takes me back to the Christopher Reeve movies, and I really got that feel from it, right? So overall, I think it could be really cool, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm really curious where the hell everything's going. I've seen a lot of people complain about the CG in it. I didn't notice a lot about that, but anyway, yeah, that's the thoughts on the Superman thing. And as far as Karate Kid, yeah, looks great. Well, we don't have a lot to talk about because there's like we could talk about Satya. I haven't. Did I get your thoughts on Satya Nadella's comments this week, Buzz? You're on mute, bro.
Sorry, I don't know if we talked about it Monday or not.
Was when did everybody blow up about it?
It was. I think it was Monday. I think I might be wrong.
Because it was after the Game Awards, but it was a couple of days after at least. I don't know. It was a crazy. So I don't remember if we talked about it at all. I know me and Pong did like a lot last night and stuff. The week's been absolutely crazy with
Yeah.
all of that nonsense. Again, everybody freaking out because their feelings and stuff. But overall, like, what do you think?
I it didn't feel like he was saying anything different or new. I get it for some in the console space of why they feel ignored or being left behind, but I the best way I can explain it is that the way Xbox is moving, they don't want you locked to one box as far as just the console. They want it where, because from just think of it from a business standpoint and money standpoint, they want you playing as many games everywhere you go, whether it's the line at the grocery store, your break room at work, from the living room to the bathroom or in the bedroom, whatever. They want you to have your tablet, your phone, your laptop, your desktop, maybe your portable laptop or portable, our handheld PC or whatever. They want you playing their games or their ecosystem on those devices if at all possible. So it's almost like it expands your options. I kind of liken it to like an MP3. You could play it on, well, before MP3s and multiple devices or just whatnot, you would have to have your CD player for the songs. And if your car didn't have a CD player, you had to have that little tape adapter with the wire and whatnot, or the aux cable type of deal. Nowadays, you look at your car. Does anybody have a new car with a CD player still on the dash? Most of the cars I look at don't have CD players, as a factory thing. You can always add an accessory for like the changer if you really, really want to, but I haven't seen any recent vehicles have them. Like most of them are linked to your phone either wirelessly or wired for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So not saying that, Xbox is going to go the way of the CD player. It's just that options open up, and that's what they're kind of nudging everybody to. They're still going to make the console. That's still going to be the gateway drug to get you into the ecosystem. But they also want you, testing things out on your tablet or your desktop PC, or maybe your TV is able to have the Xbox app. That's kind of where things are going to start going in the future. It's like we went from physical media for everything to now almost nothing is physical media except for video games. And that's one where if you look at the sales numbers, those that still do physical media, which there's a good bit out there, but you're like less than 10% of the market right now. And all the money you spend isn't going to change that because everything is moving to the digital, way of things. But for those that are afraid of their existing library going away or not having it come forward with them, the whole evolution of Xbox is to almost guarantee that you can pull that with you, whatever that console is in the future. If it's part console, part PC, or if it's a console that, actually a PC that looks like a console, you'll still be able to play your Xbox One games that are back compat, your 360 games that are back compat, your Xbox One and Series console games that are back compat. Well, actually, all of pretty much your Xbox One and Series console games on whatever the next hardware is. So they're not going away for at least another generation. And I don't even know if consoles are going to be a thing after this generation. I mean, you'll have those handheld PCs or PC-like devices because consoles right now are as close as they've been to PC as they ever been, except for like the Xbox One or the original Xbox to PC. But still, the way things are now, it's more about you still having access to your library in their ecosystem with the new transition of hardware that will be part PC, part console, back compat to all of your other stuff, and not have to worry about ever getting skipped again for all the things that come to PC that sometimes skip the Xbox ecosystem. It's their way of guaranteeing that you're not left out. But I get how some people feel that that's not the case, but I'm here to tell you they're basically making it easier for you to have access to your games wherever you are, whatever you have in your house or in your pocket or at your friends or family's house. If you want a game, they'll be available to game on that hardware, and they'll still make hardware if you choose to just have it under the TV. That's all. So I don't know why. I wish people would stop freaking out and just, if you're going to freak out about stuff, freak out about digital rights ownership. That's the thing to freak out about.
Yes,
We still don't own these games. Even if you have a physical copy, you don't own it. It's like a key, basically, unless you're talking about a game made from 10 years ago, and then good luck playing that game without internet access in a lot of cases. So freak out about that. Freak out about upcharges for hardware that you already bought. Like I said this when the PS5 first came out. Like, why are you charging me for the DualSense features when I bought the PS5 that came with the DualSense? Like, don't dare charge me for you having to go back and do some work on this. Like, if it's playable on the device and the device is capable of doing it, just do it. Don't upcharge me or roll it into the price of the device. I look at it as, I bought a $500 box. That box should work as intended with this other software if you're saying it's back compatible. Otherwise, it's not back compatible. That's just how I look at it. But that's those are my rants and stuff I'll get upset about. But like the way Xbox is moving, nah. Just enjoy Game Pass, enjoy your console, test out the other stuff. Trust me, I was not intending on going PC this route. Like, I've always tried to avoid PC because I know from being a PC player in the late 90s what it's like. And it's like, once you dabble with PC and you see what visuals look like, why are you messing with a console at that point? But I get it. A lot of people don't want to have to worry about updates and blah, blah, blah. You still do updates on your console. It's just that it's like in behind the scenes, or, not as abrupt as far as you having to pursue the updates yourself and stuff. But Xbox is going to be around for a good bit of time. And whenever this thing sorts itself out for mobile, I won't say that'll be the kill shot, but that'll be their trifecta. They'll have PC access, console access, and mobile access. Those are the three big areas where you have at least one of those devices in your house, or every household has at least one of those devices. So that'll be their big attack or their big move to get more people. The other thing is, remember what Phil said. You can either monetize your existing customers or you can find new customers. They're still trying to find new customers instead of hitting you over the head with other fees, like I said, about like with the DualSense and all that stuff. Why, like, if they can get an extra million or two here and there and everywhere kind of thing, those are going to be the people that help continue to fund first party stuff, to help continue to fund upcoming hardware, to help continue to fund all of the features and things that go into not only the console, but also the services. So,
and the game.
When you rather, instead of them constantly doing price increases, which, yes, I know they will eventually raise the price on Game Pass. They'll eventually raise the price on consoles. They'll raise the price on a lot of things. But in the meantime, if they can find more customers, that's a way to avoid it. But if you look at PlayStation, they don't care. They just hit their customers upside the head with, you want a new console? Well, this next one's $700.
Speaking on that, like, real quick, like, so I had just made the comment, everybody's blowing up. I just said, like, Xbox is fine, y'all. Relax. That's what I posted on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody said, Xbox is so fine that PlayStation was able to release an $800 console, and everybody, and just like, we just have to take it. Like, okay, like, so let me get this. Let me get this straight, okay? You're blaming Xbox now for PlayStation's decisions, but they were in competition with each other for a long time in the console space, and obviously they won out on that when these same people were also saying how much Xbox sucks and everything. Nobody should ever get one and all these other kind of things. So, PlayStation has more console sales. They have definitely more consoles. Xbox is going out and reaching more customers, trying to improve everything and do all this other stuff. Now it's still Xbox's fault when PlayStation does things, right? You know whose fault it is? It's yours for not ever complaining about any of this shit when it first started.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that PlayStation did with all of this shit that they started at last generation going into this generation, it's your fucking fault. Because everything was okay. Everything was like, okay,
Hey, you know what? They need more money for their games. $70, no fucking problem. It's time.
I'll pay 100.
Inflation, in 1989, games cost $60. So I think they should be 70 now. Let's just give it to them. We won't have to get any more monetization. We'll just be able to keep buying the game $70, and the games will be better for it too. That's just how it's gonna. Yeah, fuck you, moron. That's not how it went. Okay, and the same people are making excuses for all that shit. Then that excused every definitive edition upcharge, upgrade, all these other kind of things. Still having to have a subscription to get cloud saves and all this shit. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's not Xbox's fault when PlayStation decides to stick it up your ass again. Just saying, you like it.
Or as Diddy would say, take that, take that, take that.
Chris Jones with the membership. Welcome to the speculators, bro. Appreciate you, Chris Jones. Welcome back, dude. And just for that, speaking, let's hit him with the Indiana Jones. Choo choo, motherfuckers.
Choo choo, choo choo, ha 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 ha.
All right. Well, I think Pong disappeared on that one. It's my fault.
I'm out.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be time for us to get out of here. And, we can all find ways to blame the Series S and Xbox and 3-bit for everything, right? But for me, things are good, so there's no blame to go around. Because as PlayStation gets more expensive, my access to games gets cheaper. That's crazy. It's so funny how that works. Fuzzy, thanks for being here, man. As always, dude. I hope you have a great holidays coming up, and
You as well.
catch up and play some games hopefully this coming week. But tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Well, as always enjoy doing this on Friday nights with you guys. Love being here with Pong. Love being here with you, Mav. Love being here with everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for coming out, checking us out. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate it. Merry Christmas to those that celebrate. Happy holidays, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. Just have a awesome holiday time period with friends and family. Enjoy this hobby of gaming. Play some games. Clear that backlog because, like I said, we're not ready for 2025. It's going to be overwhelming. But you can always find me on social media everywhere but Facebook. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. Also, check out my wife's YouTube for Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. We got to see a premiere of Sweet Meats. No, it's not an adult film. It is a dark comedy horror film. We get to talk with the director and producer. It's going to be part of Tromaville, coming out early next year. But we get to at least get some of his thoughts and ideas of how he came up with the idea for the movie and stuff. So check that out. Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. Do a search on YouTube. You'll be able to find it. And, happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas if you celebrate. And hope to see you guys in the new year with some more games that we will definitely be playing a lot of. So thanks again.
Thanks, Fuzz, as always. And I did miss this earlier. $5 super chat from the one and only Chris Jones. Shout out to Chris. And also, everybody, check out his article on lordsofgaming.net. A big community article. He does this. He usually at least once a year, where he has a big community article, and this one was about the favorite protagonists and antagonists for a lot of people, in the gaming community and stuff. So awesome job on that, Chris. And yeah, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. Pong Soul.
Yes.
Where can everybody find you, sir? You doing anything shows wise this week? Are you gonna have
Not as far as
things
I know
played?
of. No.
Or no?
I don't know for sure. Steele and I might do next Saturday, after Christmas. Maybe we will. We'll see. But yeah, no, I'm not doing anything at all.
Paths
No.
of Exile, you'll be doing that.
Yeah, I'll be doing some Path of Exile. Be doing some Indiana Jones. Be doing some Borderlands 3 because I'm back to Borderlands kick. Randy, he gets me every freaking time with his hype. And there was rumor today, Matt, that's actually coming earlier in 2025. Borderlands
Really?
4 is going to be in 2025 as well.
It makes sense because 2K is publisher,
Correct.
you know,
Correct.
later in the year
Supposedly it slots in with what the 2K was
Yeah.
saying for their financials.
Mhm.
Gets me every time, man. I don't care. Like, if people are done with Borderlands, that's fine. Like, playing Borderlands 3 again, it's just so great, bro. But yeah, Path of Exile, Indiana Jones, obviously Age of Mythology, Borderlands 3. I got 300 games in Steam to play. Like, I'm done. I am certified. Like, I have enough games, like we say, Mav, for the next 5 years. If they stop making games today, I got enough games for the next 5 years, like, just to hold me over. But that's not going to happen.
Be good. And a lot of
Next
these
year's
games
gonna be
you can play forever. Just one game.
play forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. But next year is just going to be dumb. It's just going to be dumb, Mav. Our RTS is coming next year too, Mav. You do.
I know, dude. And you mentioned this before, but like some of these games that are infinitely replayable, right? You know that, like the RTSs and all these strategy games, and
4X
stuff like that,
strategies.
right? But especially for me, the RTSs, like you talked about this before. The quality of them now will forever be up. Like it's not like we're gonna see in the future. Oh, those things look like shit. I can't believe I like. It's not like we go back and look at the games we played in the 8-bit era and how impressed we were.
Right.
And it's now we play them now. Like, oh yeah. But like even the 360 era or before, this game's kind of like we're in this high definition era with smooth frame rates, all these other kind of things now. And like when we're getting these games, like will there ever be a time when those look bad to us? I don't think so. And 20 years, 30 years from now, I can still be playing a lot of the games that are available now that are these infinitely replayable games.
Love 'em.
Completely be happy with.
Yep. It's one of the greatest parts of gaming, especially that's why I see so many people so disappointed this year, and I just got to keep saying how thankful I am to be the gamer that I am, even though some people wouldn't like how I play games because I don't finish them very often. But for me, I'm just never without games, and I see so many people out here just miserable and just hating on everything that shows up, and I'm just like, God, man, I'm just so glad I'm me. I can't imagine being a part of a hobby or maintaining that I'm a part of a hobby with that much hate and with that much disgruntledness all the damn time. Like, there's big conversations to have. There's lots of stuff happening in this industry, but fuck, man, overall, if all this podcasting went away and all I had was gaming, I'd be freaking still in love with gaming, man. Like, that's just how I am. And I just absolutely am thankful for that. So, so thankful to be alive during this time of gaming as well. It's an absolutely amazing time. So great night, brothers. Awesome to be here with you both. Obviously, Fuzzy, again, you and I haven't been having the Shop podcast so on a consistent basis, because shout out to PTK Blam, obviously real life first, always. So it's always nice to be chatting with Fuzzy and hear his voice, because I don't get to do it so much. I actually even tuned in a little bit to Boom this morning and was lurking a little bit and listening to you as well, Fuzz. So great to be here with you, brother, Mav, as well. And obviously to you guys and to the chat, if I don't talk to you guys, Merry Christmas to both you and the families and everybody. And again, that goes for all of you in the chat that celebrate, however you celebrate. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever it is that you do, right? That's for the rest of us. I don't care what you celebrate. You know, it's a great time of the year. And if you are, I said this last night, it's not an easy time for everybody. And I understand that as well. Been through some hard Christmases and holidays myself. So if you are somebody who's having a hard time, please reach out. You're not alone. You never are. I know sometimes it feels that way, and sometimes you don't want to do that because you think you're going to bring somebody down during the holidays. Don't think that way. People around you love you and want to know if you're having a hard time and struggling. So please reach out. There's plenty of people available to you, and just please find a spot for yourself. But I hope you get to celebrate with your families. I hope that you get to celebrate with loved ones, however you do it, and just have a great time. And so thankful for all of you that's made another amazing year in 2024 as we come to the end. So appreciate you all. You know how to find me, Pongsoul on X, formerly known as Twitter, Pongsoul on the Xbox, Steam, GOG, Epic, you name it, I'm there. Follow me, I'll follow you back. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, Steel and I missed you last week. Steel, again, real life comes first, man, but we're on tomorrow. So Steel is powering through. We are going to be on tomorrow, 3+ hours. Buckle up, get ready. We missed you all. We're going to have lots of good talk. We're going to talk about our game of the year stuff, how our years have been. We're going to wrap up all of that stuff with the chat tomorrow. Obviously, we've got some other stuff that we need to catch up on that we haven't been able to talk about. You guys know how we roll on Living Split Screen. The chat gets involved, dictates a lot of what we talk about. So be there tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, live, raw, and uncut. We bring you from your morning to your afternoon to your evening, depending on where you are in the world. But get ready. The Splitters Hype Train leaves at Mach 2.0, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time tomorrow morning. And then we will let you know about the Shop podcast. Again, it's, PTK will let us know. We'll let everybody know if we're going to have one. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. If it does happen, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, PTK, Fuzzy, myself, the Shop podcast over on Blam's channel, usually a guest or two, but keep your eyes and ears open. We'll let you know. Otherwise, next week, pretty much going to be off all week. So again, enjoy yourselves. If we do have Living Split Screen next Saturday, we will let you know, obviously. But again, it's the golden age of gaming, everybody. So please get out there while you're spending time with your families too. Get to play some games, man. I know we all got plenty. So play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Mav, get us out of here, brother.
Thanks, bro. And again, this will be the last show on our channel for the year as far as our regular shows, right? So that means I think the next actual show we'll have for podcast will be the 2nd, which will be a PM in the PM on January 2nd. So that's when we'll be back but in the meantime, in that time frame, I guarantee you I'll be doing some kind of game streams, possibly a Mavcast or two or something around there. I don't have any specific plans, but I look out for those, and you can always find out on Twitter or Blue Sky or Threads or whatever. YouTube notifications greatly help you find out when we're going live as well for those things whenever they pop up. But I appreciate you all. Like Pong said, have an amazing holiday season. Play games with family, play games with friends, play games by yourself, but play some games and have some fun. And I hope everybody has an awesome time in this kind of little bit more chill time of the year. I actually enjoyed just chilling. The show is kind of more of a relaxed, didn't really have any topics much, just kind of go over some stuff to be excited about. But everyone, it was awesome 2024. Thank you so much for how awesome 2024 was for this channel and for us. And I know Kate feels the same way. And I hope we'll have a great one. So we'll see you again around the corner. Peace out, everybody. Take it easy. Bye.